When we talk about attraction, most people focus on the big gestures, the grand confessions, the dramatic pursuit, the obvious flirting. But in reality, attraction rarely announces itself loudly. It leaks out quietly, often before a man is even aware he's revealing anything at all. And one of the earliest, most reliable places it shows up is in the way he greets you. A greeting is deceptively simple. It lasts only a few seconds, but psychologically, it's loaded. It's the moment where intention meets instinct. Before he's had time to manage his image or decide how he wants to come across, his body and energy often speak for him. That's why greetings are so revealing. They happen at the boundary between thought and feeling. When a man wants you, his greeting carries presence. He doesn't just acknowledge you, he arrives. There's a subtle shift in his posture, a slight forward lean, an openness in his chest or shoulders. This isn't about confidence or charm, it's about investment. His body is orienting toward you because on some level you matter. He's not half in, half out. He's there. Eye contact is another key piece, not the intense, performative stare, but the kind that lingers a fraction longer than necessary. It's the look that says, I see you, not just I recognize you. Often there's a micro pause before he speaks, as though his brain briefly recalibrates because you've just entered his mental field. That pause is important. It suggests emotional priority. Tone matters too. When a man is attracted, his voice often softens or warms when he greets you. Even if he's generally reserved, there's a subtle modulation, more care, more intention. He may say your name differently, slower, or with a hint of familiarity that isn't yet justified by the relationship. That's not accidental. Names are intimate, and the way someone says yours often reflects how they feel about you. What's fascinating is that many men can't consciously control these signals. They can decide what words to say, but their nervous system reacts faster than their logic. Attraction activates approach behavior. It pulls them slightly closer, makes them more attentive, more tuned in. Even small things, remembering how you like to be greeted, matching your energy, mirroring your smile, are signs that his mind is already working to connect. This is why inconsistency is so revealing. A man who is lukewarm may greet you politely but neutrally. There's no shift, no spark, no sense that your presence changes anything for him. But when attraction is real, the greeting is different from how he greets others. Not dramatically, subtly, and subtlety is where truth lives. The mistake many people make is overvaluing words and undervaluing patterns. A single greeting doesn't tell the whole story, but repeated behavior does. If over time his greetings consistently carry warmth, presence, and a quiet eagerness, that's not coincidence. That's desire expressing itself in the safest way it knows how. So pay attention, not with anxiety, but with curiosity. Watch how he enters your space. Notice whether he brings energy with him or simply passes through, because long before a man admits he wants you, his greeting often already has. And the real power comes when you trust what you observe instead of waiting for what you're told, because attraction that's real doesn't hide well, especially in the first hello. When a man is genuinely interested, one of the first places that attraction leaks out is not in what he says later, not in grand gestures down the line, but in the quality of his attention at the very beginning. How he greets you reveals whether you are simply another person passing through his day or someone who has already begun to occupy mental and emotional space. This is subtle, but it's powerful, and once you understand it, you can't unsee it. Here's the key distinction. Attraction changes focus. A man who wants you doesn't just acknowledge you, he orients toward you. Psychologically, attention follows value. We instinctively invest focus where something matters to us, and when someone matters, our brain prioritizes them without conscious effort. That's why his greeting feels different. It's not rushed, it's not distracted. It doesn't feel like he's half somewhere else. Even if he's busy, even if the moment is brief, his presence sharpens when he sees you. This is why a genuine greeting often includes a pause, a micro pause where his attention lands fully on you before he speaks. That pause isn't rehearsed. It's the mind switching gears, signaling, this person matters more than whatever I was just doing. Men who are only being polite don't pause, they multitask. Their greeting is layered on top of whatever else has their attention. But when attraction is present, the mind momentarily clears the desk. You'll also notice consistency in this focus. Anyone can be charming once, anyone can perform interest when it's convenient, but attraction shows up repeatedly in the same way. He looks at you directly, his body angles toward you, his tone changes slightly, often warmer, sometimes softer, sometimes more animated. These are not tricks, they're autonomic responses. The nervous system doesn't lie easily. What's important here is not to confuse intensity with interest. A man doesn't need to be loud, flirtatious, or over the top for this to be real. In fact, some of the most authentic signs of attraction are quiet, a grounded stillness, a sense that he's genuinely with you in that moment. Many women miss this because they're scanning for excitement instead of presence. But presence is the deeper signal. Philosophically, this matters because attraction is not about pursuit first, it's about valuation. Before someone moves toward you, they internally place you somewhere significant. A focus greeting is evidence that this internal shift has already begun. It means you've crossed from background noise into foreground awareness, and that's not accidental. Now, here's the empowering part. You don't have to interrogate this, test it, or chase clarity. You simply observe patterns. Does his attention reliably sharpen when he sees you? Does he greet you as if you are a priority, not an interruption? Over time, the truth becomes obvious because what the mind values, the body reveals. And the real takeaway is this: stop listening only to what he says later and start trusting what he shows you first. A man's attention is his most honest currency. Where it goes effortlessly tells you everything you need to know. If he greets you like you matter, it's because to him you already do. When a man is genuinely interested, one of the most revealing things is not what he says, but how present he becomes the moment he greets you. Presence is subtle, but it's powerful. It shows up in the way his attention sharpens, how his body aligns toward you, and how the rest of the world seems to fade slightly into the background. Psychologically, this matters because attention is one of our most valuable internal resources. We only give it fully to what feels meaningful, rewarding, or emotionally significant. Think about how distracted most people are today. Phones buzzing, thoughts racing, obligations pulling in every direction. For a man to become noticeably present when he greets you, to slow down, to really see you, to engage with intention, requires effort. And effort is rarely accidental. When a man wants you, his nervous system subtly prioritizes you. His greeting may be calm, even understated, but it carries weight. He's not rushing through the interaction, he's stepping into it. This presence often shows up through eye contact that lingers just a beat longer than politeness requires. Not staring, not intense in a way that feels uncomfortable, but grounded and focused. Eye contact like this isn't about dominance or performance, it's about connection. Neurologically, sustained eye contact increases emotional attunement and signals openness. When a man greets you with this kind of focus, it's often because in that moment, you matter more than whatever else was occupying his mind seconds earlier. You may also notice that his body mirrors a sense of arrival. His shoulders square toward you, his movement slows slightly. There's a feeling that he's here rather than halfway elsewhere. This is important because attraction doesn't just pull us closer ally. It anchors us emotionally. When he wants you, he doesn't just show up, he lands. And that landing is something you can feel, even if you can't immediately explain it. What's fascinating is that this kind of presence is difficult to fake consistently. A man can manufacture charm or rehearse words, but sustained presence requires genuine internal engagement. If he's not emotionally invested, his attention will drift. He'll glance away too often, check his phone, or seem restless. But when his attraction is real, his greeting feels intentional, almost like a quiet decision to give you a piece of himself in that moment. Philosophically, this speaks to a deeper truth about desire. We move toward what we value, not dramatically, not always loudly, but reliably. A man who wants you doesn't just think about you later, his body responds to you now. His greeting becomes a small ritual of connection, a moment where interest turns into action. For you, the key is not to interrogate or overanalyze these moments, but to notice how they make you feel. Do you feel seen? Do you feel that he's genuinely with you, not just passing through the interaction? Your nervous system is often the first to register real presence. Trust that signal, because in the end, attraction reveals itself less through grand gestures and more through consistent, grounded attention. And when a man greets you with true presence, he's quietly telling you something important. In that moment, you matter enough for him to show up fully. When a man truly wants you, one of the clearest signs isn't intensity, it's consistency. And this becomes especially visible in something as simple as how he greets you over time. Early attraction can look dramatic, excitement, enthusiasm, maybe even nerves. But real desire doesn't fade into indifference once familiarity sets in. In fact, it deepens. His greeting becomes a quiet anchor, a reliable signal that you matter, not just in moments of novelty, but in the rhythm of everyday life. Psychologically, consistency is costly. Anyone can manufacture enthusiasm once or twice, but sustaining warmth requires genuine emotional investment. When a man continues to greet you with the same attentiveness, eye contact, a relaxed smile, a deliberate pause to acknowledge you, it shows that you occupy stable mental real estate. You're not just a fleeting interest, you're part of his internal world. This is important because attraction rooted in fantasy burns fast and disappears. Attraction grounded in reality settles, steadies, and shows up again and again. Notice how this consistency feels different from habit. Habit is automatic and emotionally empty. Consistency, on the other hand, carries presence. Even on days when he's tired, distracted, or stressed, there's still a moment where he turns toward you rather than past you. His greeting may be quieter, but it's not absent. That's not accidental. Our nervous systems reveal our priorities long before our words do. When someone matters, we orient toward them. There's also a philosophical layer here. Consistent greetings reflect respect. They say, "You're not here to entertain me. You're here to be acknowledged." This matters deeply in relationships, especially for people who've learned to confuse chaos with chemistry. Inconsistent attention can feel exciting, but it trains you to chase. Consistent attention invites you to relax. And real attraction isn't about keeping someone on edge. It's about making space for them to feel safe being themselves. Another subtle marker is how his greeting evolves rather than disappears. Early on, it might be playful or slightly performative. Over time, it becomes more grounded, less about impressing, more about connecting. He might reference something personal, ask a thoughtful question, or simply use your name in a way that feels intentional. These aren't grand gestures, but they require memory, care, and emotional continuity. You don't do that for someone you're lukewarm about. Importantly, this kind of consistency isn't loud. It doesn't demand that you notice it. That's precisely why it's trustworthy. People who are unsure often overcompensate. Hot one day, cold the next. People who are secure don't need to create emotional spikes. Their interest shows up quietly, predictably, and without manipulation, and the greeting becomes a microcosm of how they'll treat you in the relationship, steady, present, and respectful. The real question then isn't, is he excited enough? It's, is he reliable in how he shows interest? When his greeting remains warm across time and context, it's a sign that his attraction isn't situational, it's integrated. And that's the kind of desire you can build something real on. So pay attention to what stays, not just what sparkles. Because when someone consistently shows up for you in small moments, they're telling you, without drama or declaration, that you matter. And that quiet truth is often the most powerful signal of all. When we talk about attraction, especially real attraction, one of the most misunderstood ideas is intensity versus consistency. Many people are taught to look for dramatic gestures, sudden passion, or big emotional declarations, but the truth is far more subtle and far more revealing. What truly signals that a man wants you is not how intense he is in one moment, but how consistent he is over time, starting with the way he greets you. Consistency is psychologically expensive. Anyone can perform interest once. Anyone can be charming on a good day. But showing up with the same warmth, the same attentiveness, and the same emotional presence again and again requires genuine investment. When a man wants you, his greeting doesn't fluctuate wildly based on convenience or mood. There's a baseline of care that remains steady. You feel it in the way he acknowledges you, in how he makes space for you emotionally, and in how he stays present rather than distracted. This matters because attraction isn't just desire, it's prioritization. When someone values you, their nervous system begins to associate you with safety and reward. That shows up in small, repeatable behaviors. He looks up when you arrive, his body turns toward you, his tone softens. He doesn't rush the interaction or treat it as disposable. These are not conscious strategies, they're subconscious signals of emotional relevance. Your presence registers. Philosophically, consistency is the bridge between interest and intention. Interest can be fleeting. Intention requires alignment between thought, feeling, and action. A man who wants you doesn't need to manufacture interest each time he sees you. His greeting becomes a reflection of an internal decision that's already been made. You matter here. And because that decision is internal, it expresses itself reliably. This is where many people get confused. They excuse inconsistency by focusing on potential. He's busy, he's stressed, he's just not go. OD at expressing himself. But inconsistency in greetings often reveals inconsistency in emotional availability. When someone wants you, their life may be busy, but you don't feel optional. The greeting doesn't disappear. It adapts, but it doesn't vanish. There's also an important self-respect component here. When you start noticing consistency, you stop chasing intensity. You stop reading into dramatic highs and lows and instead begin valuing emotional reliability. This shift changes how you show up too. You become calmer, more grounded, less reactive. And ironically, that grounded energy often deepens attraction because it creates emotional safety. Psychologically, humans bond through predictability. We trust what we can anticipate. A consistent greeting tells your nervous system this connection is stable. That's why it feels different. It's not just flattering, it's regulating. And when a man is emotionally invested, he wants to be a source of that stability, even if he's not consciously aware of it. So pay attention to patterns, not promises. Look at how he greets you when there's nothing to gain, when no one is watching, when it's inconvenient. That's where desire turns into something real. Because in the end, attraction that lasts isn't loud, it's reliable. And when you learn to recognize consistency as desire, you stop settling for sparks and start choosing substance. When we talk about clear signs of attraction, especially starting with how he greets you, the final piece of the puzzle is consistency over time. This is where real interest separates itself from fleeting curiosity. Anyone can have a warm moment. Anyone can be charming once. But attraction that is real, grounded, and emotionally invested has a rhythm to it. It shows up again and again, even when there's nothing to gain in that moment. A man who genuinely wants you doesn't just greet you warmly when it's convenient, when he's in a good mood, or when he wants something. His greeting carries the same emotional signature, whether he's busy or relaxed, whether you've just met or you've known each other for months. There's a steadiness to it. You feel seen, acknowledged, and emotionally included, not sporadically, but reliably. And that reliability is deeply psychological. It tells you his interest isn't impulsive, it's integrated. This is important because attraction isn't just a feeling, it's a decision repeated over time. When a man is attracted to you, his nervous system starts to associate you with comfort, excitement, and emotional safety. That's why his greeting doesn't fade. He doesn't suddenly become colder once the novelty wears off. If anything, the greeting often deepens. It becomes less performative and more sincere, less flashy, more grounded. And paradoxically, that calm consistency is far more intimate than dramatic gestures. Pay attention to how he greets you when no one is watching. When there's no audience, no pressure, no immediate reward, does he still turn toward you fully? Does his tone soften? Does he slow down even briefly, as if you matter enough to pause the world for a second? These are not things men consciously calculate. They're automatic responses driven by emotional investment. And because they're automatic, they're incredibly hard to fake over time. Another powerful aspect of consistency is emotional alignment. A man who wants you doesn't greet you as if you're interchangeable with everyone else in his life. There's a subtle personalization. He remembers how you like to be spoken to. He mirrors your energy. If you're calm, he meets you there. If you're excited, he rises to it. This attunement is a form of respect. It shows he's not just attracted to how you look, but to how you feel and how you experience the world. What's crucial here is that you don't chase this consistency or try to extract it. You observe it. You let his behavior reveal itself without overinterpreting single moments. Real attraction has endurance. It doesn't need to announce itself loudly. It proves itself quietly. And when you trust that, you stop anxiously decoding every interaction and start evaluating the pattern instead. The deeper truth is this: when someone is emotionally invested, their presence becomes predictable in the best possible way. Not boring, not routine, but safe and intentional. And that safety is not the absence of passion, it's the foundation of it. So if you're wondering whether his attraction is real, don't just ask how he greets you once. Ask how he greets you consistently. Because attraction that's genuine doesn't flicker. It shows up again and again until you no longer have to question it. You can feel it.